Waitress discovers inspiring journey of disabled boy, unexpectedly changing his life forever. On a typical bustling Saturday morning at Lou's Diner, Sarah deftly maneuvered through tables, her tray piled high with plates of golden pancakes and sizzling eggs. The diner buzzed with familiar chatter, but beneath Sarah's practiced smile lay an undercurrent of anxiety. She loved the rush, the intensity of the orders, the need to keep her family's world spinning. But each plate she served felt heavier, as if it carried not just food, but the weight of her mother's hopes and her brother's future. With every thank you, Sarah felt the pull of exhaustion, a reminder of the late nights spent juggling 2 jobs, trying to stay afloat. Just as she filled salt shakers, the telltale jingle of the bell chimed. Jake burst in, his boundless energy illuminating the room. He rolled in with his grandfather, a constant ray of sunlight in the cramped diner. But while his smile captivated every corner of the room, Sarah's heart sank as she overheard a couple of customers sneer at Jake. Words laden with ignorance, judging him for what they did not understand. Determined not to let their disdain ruin the moment, Sarah approached with a dazzling smile and served them their usuals, a part of her filled with admiration for Jake's unwavering spirit. Yet the sting of discrimination echoed in her thoughts, gnawing at her own vulnerabilities. The morning wore on, the rush subsiding, giving Sarah a moment to breathe. A group of locals nearby discussed an upcoming tech fair, their tones infused with excitement. She caught snippets about innovations that could bring recognition to Maplewood. Suddenly, a spark ignited in her mind, Jake's dreams of being an inventor. The disconnected yearning for change twisted inside her, blending a flicker of hope with a chilling reality. Her precarious job at the diner, a sanctuary full of the very biases she loathed. Before Sarah could protest the gnawing doubts, a vision of Jake's imaginative inventions danced before her. Cool gadgets, quirky designs, all shimmering with potential. But she couldn't ignore the dark shadow of Mr. Turner, the powerful businessman whom townsfolk feared. His unyielding opinions on what success looks like would never let Jake's aspirations breathe. Steeling herself against the fear, Sarah found strength in Jake's laughter, deciding to join him outside the diner after work, a bright plan percolating in her mind. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the tech fair approached, anxiety clenched tighter around her heart. Scoffing remarks about Jake's projects echoed hauntingly in her mind, intensifying her internal battle. She pictured a meeting filled with impassioned faces, but then the familiar voice of dissent interrupted. Why should we put our town's legacy at stake for a boy who was different? The fracture between her passion and her practical fears widened, contorting her stomach in knots. Would speaking out mean losing her job, securing her place in a community steeped in prejudice? Sarah's gaze drifted towards Jake, a young boy with dreams piercing through the fog of doubt that clouded her thoughts. The stakes had never felt higher. Could she summon the courage to stand up for him? Her breath quickened as the room began to sway with tension. The stakes spun around them, the real battle loomed ahead. Would she stay a bystander, or could she unleash her voice, risking everything to challenge the very roots of discrimination in Maplewood? The sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow that flickered through the diner's windows. Sarah wiped the last remnants of her shift off the counter, the weight of her thoughts still pressing down like a heavy cloud. She could hear laughter from the booth where Jake and his grandfather usually sat, and it filled her with warmth, yet a gnawing doubt remained. After cleaning the tables, Sarah drifted outside to find Jake tinkering with a makeshift gadget made from discarded electronics. The sight of his small hands working diligently reignited her resolve, but the conflicting emotions battled within her. She approached, knowing that any decision she made could ripple through the lives of those she loved. "Hey Jake," she ventured, looking at him with a hopeful smile. "What are you working on?" He looked up, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "It's a robot that can help me pick up my toys. I just need a few more parts." The innocence in his voice was a balm to her frayed nerves, yet it also mirrored the very dreams she wanted to protect. "Have you thought about showing this at the tech fair?" The words poured out before she could stop them, the echo of her fear pushing her beyond her comfort zone. Jake's eyes widened, his excitement palpable. "Really? You think I could?" Suddenly, Sarah was faced with a decision point. Encouragement felt like a single thread in the vast tapestry of her life, but she couldn't ignore the looming threats. Would his creativity be crushed under the weight of prejudice? Definitely, but what if? The reality of judgment overshadowed her enthusiasm for Jake, testing her resolve. Each doubt felt like a door slamming shut, but Jake's smile shone like a key that could unlock the barrier she built. "Then I'll just have to explain. If I build it right, they'll see how cool it is." His confidence was a beacon. For a moment, Sarah found herself absorbing his belief in their shared potential. The following days were filled not just with work, but also with planning. Returning to the diner, each shift felt different. Instead of merely surviving the hours, Sarah began to see each table as a stepping stone toward a collision of creativity and courage. Mentally, she drafted proposals on napkins during quiet lulls, sketching out how to present Jake's invention. But the gnawing presence of Mr. Turner lurked in the shadows of her thoughts. By the end of each day, she was exhausted, emotionally tapped. The diner filled her with comfort and fear in equal measure. Would she become the voice of the marginalized or blend back into the fabric of complacency? Jake was her driving force, transforming her anxieties into practical strategies. She could envision Jake demonstrating his invention passionately, his eyes wide with the thrill of imagination. However, with each passing moment leading up to the fair, a new dialogue emerged within her. And it wasn't just about supporting Jake's dream. It became a personal challenge. Even as she wrestled with her fear of social backlash, another part of her began to embrace the thrill of standing up for what she believed in. The conversation shifted from dread to determination. Could she really face the people who might mock them? With the tech fair just days away, a deep, resonating clarity emerged. She was fighting for more than just Jake. She was clashing against a world that stifled innovation and crushed spirit. As Sarah prepared for the presentation, determination hardened within her. Would she take that leap of faith and speak out, notwithstanding the potential peril awaiting her? The moment to face the prejudices in Maplewood drew closer, and the battle to assert both her identity and Jake's was about to begin. Could she muster the courage to challenge the very opinions that threatened to silence their dreams? As the days ticked down to the tech fair, the pressure mounted within Sarah like a tightly coiled spring, ready to snap. She could feel every tick of the clock as she went through her usual routines at the diner, the clattering plates and the smell of frying bacon mingling with her swirling thoughts. Her mind oscillated between logistics, how to support Jake's presentation, and the nagging fear of facing an audience who might not understand the brilliance of a boy's unfiltered creativity. Jake became her anchor as they spent evenings together after her shifts. Each moment with him was punctuated by excitement, laughter, and the clatter of tools as they put together his robot. Watching him piece together parts was oddly cathartic, allowing Sarah a glimpse into a world where anything was possible, where a humble invention could change lives. Still, as days turned to nights, the undercurrent of anxiety surged stronger. "What's the matter, Sarah?" Jake asked one evening, glancing up from his creation. His brown hair fell into his eyes, but his gaze was intense, almost as if he felt her fear radiating off her. "It's just," she hesitated, weighing her words, wanting to protect the innocence he embodied. "I want you to shine at the fair, Jake. But I'm afraid they won't see how amazing you are. Or worse, they might tease you." Jake set down the tiny screwdriver, looking contemplative. "But I'm excited, and I believe my robot is going to work. It has to, right?" His tired but determined voice reminded her of the pure courage so many adults had lost sight of in their own lives. She felt her heart swell, a bittersweet moment of pride mixed with guilt. Jake, with his unyielding enthusiasm and innocence, had unwittingly placed a mirror before her. His faith challenged her to reconsider her fears. What would his refusal to conform mean for both of them? The next day at the diner, between serving customers and collecting tips, Sarah understood that every minor setback she faced paled in comparison to the life-altering opportunity Jake had in front of him. As she wiped down the counters, she resolved to transform her fear into tangible action. She decided to approach her boss, Matt, about helping them with the logistics of the presentation. "Hey Matt," she finally said, her voice steady but laced with anticipation. "Could we borrow some materials for Jake's presentation? He's built something incredible, and I really want to give him the best shot at the tech fair." Matt raised an eyebrow, taken aback. Sarah rarely asked for favors, much less when it involved anything outside her routine responsibilities. "You're serious, right? This kid's special, yes," she interjected, her tone firmer. "But just because he's different doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a chance. We all deserve a chance." He studied her, seeing a different side of her emerge. There was a determination in her expression that he hadn't noticed before. After a moment, he nodded, though skepticism remained in his eyes. "All right, I'll see what I can do." Sarah walked away, a victory radiating within her. This conversation wasn't just about Jake. It was a watershed moment for her personal and professional growth. It was the first time she actively fought for something bigger than herself, pushing back against the whispers of doubt. Her actions began to ripple. The fear she carried started dissipating into purpose. As they neared the fair, she rehearsed with Jake, guiding him through how to speak about his robot, coaching him on potential questions, while embracing every moment of his boundless enthusiasm. Yet, beneath her fierce exterior, doubt still coiled within her. She longed to embody the same fearless spirit she admired in Jake, but couldn't shake the thought of potential backlash from those who dismiss his talent. Would she find the strength to defend him publicly? Would they truly understand the heart behind his invention? The time was drawing near. The moment to secure their place in a world that often overlooked them was approaching. Suddenly, the weight of their dreams felt more pronounced than ever. Now, as Jake's showcase loomed ahead, a deeper internal conflict gripped her. Was she ready to confront both her insecurities and the biases they would face? Would she find the strength to defend him publicly? Would they truly understand the heart behind his invention? The time was drawing near. The moment to secure their place in a world that often overlooked them was approaching. Suddenly, the weight of their dreams felt more pronounced than ever. Now, as Jake's showcase loomed ahead, a deeper internal conflict gripped her. Was she ready to confront both her insecurities and the biases they would face? Would showcasing Jake's creativity change her life too? The night before the showcase felt heavy, each tick of the clock slicing through her resolve like a knife. Shadows danced across the walls of her small apartment, morphing into the doubts that clung to her mind, threatening to unravel everything she had worked towards. Sarah stood in front of the mirror, her own reflection a battleground of conflicting emotions. She could recall the way Jake's eyes lit up when he spoke about the robot, filled with a childlike wonder she desperately wished to share. However, as she rehearsed her words in front of the glass, uncertainty crept back in. What if they ridiculed Jake? What if she failed to defend his vision? With a deep breath, she turned away from the mirror, abandoning her self-reproach for the moment. Tonight was not about her. It was about giving Jake the chance he deserved. Determination surged, and she gathered her notes, clutching them with a fervor that transcended panic. She spent hours organizing her thoughts and strategies for supporting him better, rehearsing how to grace the conversations to come. The fears danced in tandem, the worry of her own inadequacies opposing the relentless drive to stand by Jake. Morning arrived, the sun's golden rays slicing through her window and igniting a flicker of resolve within. She was surprised to hear her own steely voice when she picked up her phone and texted Jake, "Today's the day, ready to show the world how incredible you are." The response came quickly, brimming with childlike enthusiasm. "Can't wait, my robot is going to be legendary." Despite her anxieties, she felt comforted by his excitement. It pushed her determination towards clarity rather than chaos. As they made their way to the venue, the weight of the world seemed to lift from Sarah's shoulders. Each step brought forth an unfamiliar zest, one she had long denied herself. She matched Jake's jubilance, encouraging him as they rehearsed important points one last time in the car. "Remember, focus on the parts you love about your robot. Speaking from your heart is what matters." But the closer they came, the more palpable the intimidating energy became. The parking lot buzzed with individuals sharing ambitions and innovations that rivaled Jake's creation. Self-doubt tried to seep back in, whispering doubts that someone like her, the waitress from a diner, could ever worthy stand amongst engineers and tech enthusiasts. Jake's hesitant fidgeting in the passenger seat caught her notice. He was anxious as she was, pulling on his sleeve, the innocence of hope battling his apprehension. Once they stepped inside, the vibrant atmosphere buzzed with excitement and anticipation. The registration booth loomed ahead, but Sarah hesitated. Could she manage the scrutiny? Would she falter in her newfound determination? Her mind spun, questioning whether Jake would encounter a backlash and how she would react. As they neared the stage area, she caught glimpses of other children with polished gadgets, all quickly showcasing prototypes and high-tech inventions. Would they laugh at Jake's homemade robot? Would she? That pang of dread tightened her chest, and for a fraction of a moment she considered fleeing the scene. But Jake's innocent awe at the surroundings halted her retreat. She remembered him standing outside the diner last week, recounting his grand vision, unfazed by the world's judgment. His joy was her lifeline, the very essence that nudged her towards possibilities she thought were unattainable. In his radiant spirit, she discovered her own courage. "Jake," she whispered, an idea igniting her resolve. "What if instead of worrying about what others think, we show them how much heart you put into this?" He looked up, his face lighting up with a mixture of confusion and excitement. "You mean be ourselves?" Sarah nodded, determination now taking the reins. They would unveil not only the robot, but also the story behind it. "Let's make them see you, your talent, our bond, and everything it represents. You up for it?" Jake flashed a grin that stirred something deep inside her, intertwining the essence of youthful hope with her emerging adulthood. "Let's do it!" As they approached the presenters area, she felt an overwhelming wave of readiness wash over her, banishing her hesitation. They were about to step into a world that would challenge their convictions and test their character. The moment was closing in. Would she find the strength to withstand not only the audience, but also her own burgeoning identity? Suddenly, she noticed two familiar figures gathered nearby, voices dripping with sarcasm. What are they thinking, showing up with that junk? A new tide of ice coursed through her veins. It was time to stand firm, not just for Jake, but for the truths blossoming within her. The exhibition awaited, and so to her personal confrontation. Her heart raced with the weight of untested bravery, ready to face the reckoning that would either elevate them or expose their vulnerabilities. The crowd's energy surged around Sarah, a living organism driven by anticipation and unfiltered ambition. She felt the unforgiving gaze of judgment from the two figures nearby, their laughter puncturing the air as they assessed her and Jake, dressed simply but purposefully. In that moment, Sarah grasped the depth of the battle ahead, not merely against unkind words, but against the expectations that bound her to the past. She couldn't allow the cynical jabs to detract from the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Ready?" she asked Jake, who now stood beside her with wide eyes, palpable enthusiasm sparkling on his face. He nodded, but his lips quirked into a hesitant smile, betraying a flicker of doubt. Each heartbeat echoed her resolve to protect that spark, not just for him, but for her own emerging self. As they stepped onto the platform, the expanse of the audience unfolded before them like a sea of faces ready to judge, evaluate, or, just maybe, applaud. Sarah's throat dried up, but she swallowed hard, feeling the weight of Jake's hand in hers, anchoring her amidst the storm. "Let me start," she whispered, summoning a calmness she hardly felt. She took a deep breath as she glanced at Jake. This is not just a robot, it's a piece of Jake's heart and imagination. Every screw, every wire embodies the pure joy of creation. She sensed the two skeptics leaning in slightly, compelled by her sincerity, even as they tried to mask it with smirks. Jake stepped forward, his posture transforming from apprehensive to confident as he presented his creation. "My robot, Ren," he said, voice growing steadier, "is designed to help people like my dad who sometimes forget things." The sincerity flooded his words, painting a picture of both vulnerability and strength. Her heart expanded, swelling with admiration as she saw Jake connect with his audience, their demeanor shifting from doubt to genuine intrigue. He spoke passionately about the robot's features, how it could alert someone when they left something behind, and how it could be a friend in times of loneliness. Each description was a brushstroke on a canvas of innovation. Sarah remained by his side, nodding and encouraging every time the glimmer of uncertainty returned to his eyes. The rhythmic bumbling of his nerves diminished, and she could see him flourish, each word bringing a comforting strength in their partnership. But it wasn't just Jake who was evolving. With every moment they occupied the stage, Sarah unearthed pieces of herself long buried under insecurity. The waitress, who had always felt inferior, was at this moment illuminating the prospect of being a supportive champion, not only for Jake, but for others misjudged for their situations. She felt empowered by the contrasts between her own initial trepidation and Jake's audacious voice cutting through. However, as Jake demonstrated Ren's function, Sarah's eyes flicked back to the two critics, who now exchanged knowing glances, their mockery unveiled. A thought struck her. This was more than a showcase for Jake. It was a revelation for herself. "Why did I second-guess us?" she pondered, her doubts wrestling with her burgeoning self-respect. The moment sat heavy with unspoken challenges. Suddenly, she realized her worth was not defined by where she stood today, but by the growth simmering inside her. They concluded their presentation to an uncertain silence. Sarah's pulse quickened, but then the atmosphere shifted. A slow clap began somewhere in the audience, igniting others to join in. Laughter mingled with applause, an unexpected embrace of acceptance. Amid the applause, Sarah's eyes scanned the crowd. People began to talk animatedly about Ren, speculating on potential uses and improvements. It was in this mingling of curiosity and excitement that she sensed a transformation, both for Jake and for herself. But as she basked in the warmth of this new connection, her gaze fell on the two figures once more. Their faces had morphed from skepticism to surprise, but the underlying judgments lingered. Would they swallow their pride, or would they find another way to undermine what they couldn't understand? Sarah's mind raced. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of an uncharted journey, full of potential but fraught with challenges, both external and internal. The stakes had been raised, and she found herself at the precipice of something profound. Because it was at this moment that she understood she was not just a waitress standing next to a boy with a dream. She was a seed of change, ready to defy the soil she had once accepted. But could they weather the trials ahead? What would happen when she faced the critics again? The future loomed large, and she felt the weight of their upcoming confrontation tightening around her, ripe with untold potential. The applause reverberated around Sarah, yet she hardly registered it as her thoughts spiraled, fixating on the two skeptics lingering in the crowd. Their expressions hinted at a brewing storm. She could practically hear the gears turning in their minds. Would their disbelief morph into disdain? Or could this moment of vulnerability unveil a newfound respect? Look at them, she thought, as she tried to read their faces, like wolves in sheep's clothing, waiting for the chance to pounce. A knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach, and she instinctively squeezed Jake's hand. He cast her a glance, his eyes still bright with exhilaration, but she could see the fragile thread of uncertainty creeping back into his demeanor. "Stay focused," she whispered to him, recalling the essence of what they had worked so hard to achieve. The fleeting ecstasy of approval was just that, fleeting. The true test would emerge when their critics felt empowered to speak. As the crowd filtered away, chatter bubbling like a boiling pot, Sarah leaned closer, her voice low. "We need to prepare for their questions, you know. They'll hit hard." Jake nodded, his youthful enthusiasm tempered by a growing awareness of the battles they might soon face. "Maybe," he murmured, eyes darting to the two figures still lingering on the edges of the crowd, eyes glittering with derision. "What if they just think we're ridiculous? What if my idea is dumb?" Doubt slipped back into her veins like smoke, but she refused to let it suffocate her. "You created something incredible, Jake. Remember how you felt when REN came to life? Hold on to that feeling. We have to show them the truth of it." Her resolve began to crystallize. In this vulnerable moment, she realized her ascent above apprehension wasn't just about Jake's vision. It was a personal reckoning that demanded she embrace an identity unshackled from ridicule. She had stood on that stage not merely by Jake's side, but as a testament to possibility. She needed to instill that belief in him as well. They stepped away from the remnants of applause, seeping into a hall filled with discussions. As they moved, Sarah couldn't shake the creeping sensation that her own internal struggles mirrored the external challenges they might confront. The impending scrutiny energized her. She began to plan. "Let's prepare a counter-argument for every concern they might throw our way. If they question REN's value, we'll highlight everyday scenarios where it makes a difference. We can even collect feedback about how it helped," she encouraged, her thoughts rapidly evolving into strategies that served her both personally and professionally. Jake brightened a fraction. "And I can demonstrate how REN is more than just a robot. It's a companion." The tremor in his voice began to dissipate as determination flared in his eyes. "Exactly," she beamed, feeling momentum surge through her. "We'll show them it's real, it matters, and it resonates." Each word resonated deeper, awakening a fire she hadn't realized was smoldering. Yet the looming presence of their critics weighed heavy. She needed to confront them without cowering to their judgments. "We'll have to approach them first, show them we're not afraid," she said, surprising herself with the assertiveness bubbling within. "But what if they don't listen?" Jake's uncertainty poked through, but Sarah felt the vibrancy of their connection strengthening in the face of adversity. "They will listen, because we're not there for them," she replied, the notion crystallizing in her mind. "We're there for us, for ourselves." With this epiphany igniting a new level of urgency, Sarah took a deep breath and resolved to face the skeptics head-on. She had transformed from a passive observer to a warrior prepared to protect not only Jake's dreams, but her own too. In the ensuing moments, she felt the energy shift palpably. They approached the skeptical duo, their eyes narrowing, the air thick with anticipation. Would they dismiss her? Would they mock Jake's ingenuity? As Sarah prepared to speak, she felt the weight of self-assurance anchor her. The moment of reckoning had arrived, but one question reverberated through her mind. Were they ready for this confrontation? Ready to stand their ground against an opponent that only wanted to belittle rather than engage? Before she could second-guess anything, she opened her mouth to speak. The battle for their future had only just begun. "Excuse me," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. The two skeptics turned their full attention to her, their expressions unreadable. She refused to let her resolve waver. "I'm Sarah, and this is Jake. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Ren and any concerns you might have." The taller skeptic, a woman with sharp features and a posture that could slice through steel, raised an eyebrow as if surprised by the direct approach. "Thoughts? You mean besides the obvious?" she retorted, crossing her arms defiantly. "Let's not start on the wrong foot," Sarah countered. "We're looking for constructive feedback. What aspects of Ren do you find most concerning?" Jake, enthusiastic again, chimed in. "We believe Ren can truly change lives. It's not just technology, it's about companionship." His excitement seemed to offer an opening, yet she could feel the hesitation creeping back into his voice. The second skeptic, a man with furrowed brows and a skeptical glance that could rival the woman's, leaned closer. Companionship or over-reliance? What happens when technology fails? Are you ready to tackle the ethical implications of that? Uneasiness washed over Sarah, yet a flicker of determination ignited in her chest. This was not just an interrogation, it was an opportunity to affirm everything they had poured their hearts into. "We've considered that," she responded, her voice gathering strength. "RN was designed with the understanding that limitations exist. We want to mitigate issues by ensuring there's always a human element, support, guidance, and direct interaction." There it was, a chance to reveal their meticulous planning and the depth of their commitment. In this moment, she wasn't just advocating for Jake, she was championing a vision for people drawn from empathy and insight. "Can RN handle emergencies?" the woman challenged, narrowing her eyes. "What if a real emotional bond creates dependency rather than fostering independence?" "That's an important question," Sarah said carefully. "Our aim isn't to replace human connection, but to enhance it. We want Ren to serve as an aid that empowers users, allowing them to form genuine bonds with others." The gaze of the woman softened slightly, and Sarah seized this small victory. "We've gathered feedback from users who genuinely found comfort and improved well-being through interactions with RN. We can provide data to support our claims." Jake's excitement bubbled back to the surface as Sarah's conviction took hold. "And we're always learning," he added, his voice growing more assured. "Your concerns help us better RN. And honestly, we want to hear all of them. We want this to be a community-driven project." The man seemed to wrestle with his skepticism, his mouth twitching into a contemplative frown. Sarah noticed the defensive posture of both skeptics loosening, shifting from hostility to curiosity. "Interesting," the woman admitted reluctantly. "But you're still new to this. A few positive testimonials aren't enough to prove you won't lead people astray." "True," Sarah acknowledged, her heart pounding. "And perhaps we can organize a trial period. Your perspectives can help shape RN further. We're here to evolve, not just for ourselves, but for anyone who needs a connection. We want to make sure it's beneficial at every level." Their eyes flickered with interest now, threading through her words. Suddenly, Sarah realized this wasn't simply about convincing the skeptics. It was about defining her own path. By confronting their doubts, she unearthed a sense of agency she hadn't fully comprehended until this moment. Yet as her breath steadied, a nagging thought lingered. What if, even after their impassioned defense, their skepticism remained unshaken? Just then, the woman leaned in slightly, a glimmer in her eye that suggested flickering intrigue. "So, you think you're prepared for more scrutiny?" "Yes, absolutely," responded Sarah, the fervor unmistakable in her voice. "We expect it. It's what makes our work valuable." Their conversation flowed with newfound vigor, but the underlying tension from the skeptics still simmered, a challenge yet to unfold. "Then, let's see," the man finally said, a slight challenge in his tone. "But you'll need to do more than talk. I say we give RN a real-world test, one that your claims can withstand." A sudden rush of adrenaline surged through Sarah. The stakes had been elevated. Would they rise to meet this challenge or unravel under pressure? As she locked eyes with Jake, she felt a wave of determination surging between them. Perhaps this could be the crucible that tested their creation and themselves. "We'll make it work," she assured him silently. But as excitement mixed with trepidation, she wondered, what risks awaited if this test pushed them beyond their limits? The conference room felt uncomfortably sterile, its white walls and sleek furnishings reflecting the clinical nature of their task ahead. As Sarah glanced at the watch on her wrist, a knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. They had a mere week to formulate a plan, gather necessary resources, and prepare for a trial that could make or break REN. "What if we fail?" Jake's voice broke through her thoughts, his brow furrowed with uncertainty. They were both new to the realm of high-stakes public declarations. This was a trial that could change the trajectory of their lives. "We won't fail," Sarah insisted, deliberate and resolute. Yet her own voice wavered slightly as doubt crept in. Her instincts told her that this moment would demand everything they had learned in the months leading up to it. Resilience, ambition, creative problem-solving, these were no longer mere traits, but necessities for survival. Over the next few days, they dove headfirst into preparation. Sarah transformed her fidgeting worry into a structured plan. Together with Jake, she curated a list of potential participants for the trial, individuals who could benefit most from REN. Their selections varied dramatically. People with disabilities seeking companionship, elderly folks longing for connection, and even families trying to bridge emotional gaps. Each choice weighed heavily on her conscience, filling her with grave responsibilities. "Sarah, what if they don't like it? What if they find it lacks the warmth of human interaction?" Jake's concerns hung thick in the air during one brainstorming session. It struck her how deeply he cared. Part of her admired his dedication, but another part felt a glimpse of frustration. "We have to risk the uncomfortable to uncover the truth, Jake," she replied, her voice firm. "What we're doing is revolutionary. Let's focus on the impact we can make instead of fearing what might go wrong." She was realizing that every challenge brought forth opportunities, not just for REN, but also for herself. As preparations advanced, Sarah initiated mock trials with a few volunteers willing to help before the official launch. During these sessions, they received invaluable feedback. One particular incident struck her. A young participant named Leo, a boy confined to a wheelchair but filled with infectious energy. As Ran engaged him in conversations that inspired his imagination, she witnessed firsthand how connection could bridge physical limitations. That moment hung in Sarah's memory long after the session ended. Leo's laughter and glowing enthusiasm reignited her resolve. Every bit of skepticism still lingering in her mind was replaced by an electric sense of possibility. Perhaps they weren't just creating a product, but revolutionizing lives, including her own. However, as the trial approached, the weight—
What if we come across as naive or out of touch? What if we sound like we don't know what we're doing? Jake leaned back, contemplating. Maybe we should focus on the testimonials we received from the mock trials. The impact we've seen is raw and genuine. That'll speak louder than any polished presentation. Sarah's eyes lit up. He was right. Remembering Leo's laughter washed over her with renewed clarity. Every piece of feedback had ignited her belief in their purpose. You know, what we're doing is challenging societal norms. We can turn that into a compelling narrative. The gears started turning in her mind. Inspired, she began to outline points of discussion they should emphasize. They needed to confront the society's ingrained views on technology and connection with sincerity and authenticity. They were not just metrics or data points. They were human lives touched by deficit in compassion. Their brainstorming sessions quickly morphed into a tactical meeting for the trial. There was iron in their resolve. Sarah felt the adrenaline pumping through her, sharpening her focus. Each strategy they plotted enveloped her with empowerment, their vulnerability crafting a bond that transcended typical workplace dynamics. The hours clicked by. Yet, as much as she immersed herself in work, a sliver of dread stubbornly lingered. Each detail felt paramount. Failure wasn't just a professional blow. It felt like the climax of her entire personal journey. Was she truly ready to lead, to count on people entrusting their experiences to her creation? Days melded into each other, filled with reflections over questions that seemed loom larger the closer they got to launch. Trust began to sift through her like sand, slipping through her fingers without a firm conviction. What if commitment crumbled when faced with the raw scrutiny of public opinions? Jake's words echoed. Focus on impact, on authenticity. The day before the trial descended upon them like a fog, thick with apprehensions, yet laden with purpose. Sarah stood at the edge of the office rooftop, an isolated sanctuary from the chaos below. The city pulsed with energy, a facilitator of endless stories. Had she become a story within this great expanse, one waiting for its final reveal? Her phone buzzed again. Another message from the blogger, this one punctuating her solitude. We'll have a live interview tomorrow before the trial begins. It will serve as part of a feature article. Let me know if you're available. The world tilted. An insatiable curiosity mixed with gut-wrenching anxiety. This spotlight could be the defining moment, a duel between transparency and vulnerability, success and potential disaster. With a slow exhale, she felt a resurgence of the enthusiasm that had buoyed her through this journey. Okay, Sarah, you're right. Step into that spotlight and own it, she whispered to herself, the conviction embedding with each word spoken aloud. Ready or not, the next act was primed to unfold. What lay ahead blurred into the unknown, but she knew failure would be nothing compared to the chance to ignite real change. As she descended back into the office, ready to brief Jake on the interview, she couldn't shake the feeling that this would be the moment where everything changed. But would she have the courage to embrace the risks? The trial loomed large. All that remained was deciding if she would take the leap. Sarah found herself standing nervously in front of the mirror for perhaps the last time before the trial, her heart thundering as she replayed the phrases she'd practiced over and over. This is not just about technology, she whispered to herself, determination igniting within her. It's about human connection. Gone were the days she felt merely like a waitress hidden behind the busy bar of Lou's Diner. No longer just balancing plates, she was now a force to be reckoned with, advocating for Jake's innovative invention. The day of the trial had arrived, and it was evidence that both she and Jake had transformed through their journey together in ways that were profound. As they entered the conference room at Maplewood Tech, a mixture of jitters and anticipation filled the atmosphere. Spectators were already seated, some curious, others skeptical. Sarah could feel a flutter of apprehension creeping back, but she clenched her fists, grounding herself. This was their moment. Jake stood beside her, his eyes lit with excitement and trepidation. She leaned down, whispering to him, "Remember, we're here to show them how your creation can make a real difference. Believe in yourself, Jake. You're unstoppable." The two of them exchanged a nod filled with trust, and immediately the two felt grounded in their shared purpose. As they launched into their presentation, Sarah's voice resonated with unwavering conviction. She articulated the vision behind REN, emphasizing the emotional bonds that could be fostered through technology. REN isn't just a machine, she said, it's a companion designed to enhance what connection truly means. Each word that fell from her lips fueled her with an undeniable sense of empowerment. The room remained captivated, but that familiar duo of skeptics sat in the corner, eyes narrowed, ready to pounce. Their poised countenance shook her confidence, but she dismissed the thoughts, redirecting her focus towards the audience that truly mattered, those who could benefit from Jake's invention. After the presentation, Jake confidently showcased REN's unique features. His passion became a beacon of authenticity as he shared personal experiences of his connection with the robot, recounting how it helped him remember important tasks. The audience began shifting in their seats, intrigued by the possibilities REN opened up. Just then, one of the skeptics raised an eyebrow and challenged him, "But what happens when the technology fails? What then?" In an instant, renewed determination surged through Sarah. This was the moment to prove not only the invention's value, but also her own growth. Technology has limitations, but REN encourages not just reliance, but support systems that bridge the divide between loneliness and connection, she declared fiercely. It's about making investments in relationships. The room buzzed with discussion, and Sarah saw glimmers of recognition in skeptical eyes slowly softening. She'd not only defended Jake's passion, but had interwoven her own journey of overcoming self-doubt, her identity emerging from the shadows. The skeptics, though again unsettled, began to visibly wrestle with their previous dismissive stances. After the presentation concluded, the applause enveloped them like a wave, affirming the validation she had sought all along. The following weeks unfolded like a work of art, with REN trial participants coming forth with glowing feedback that reinforced their vision and inspired Sarah to push beyond her previous boundaries. Each success nurtured her spirit, her confidence transforming from a flicker into a blazing flame. Elders expressed gratitude, families found reconciliations, and children like Leo discovered companionship through REN. The ripple effect spread, not just transforming lives, but igniting Sarah's defining career moment. For the first time in years, she received recognition beyond her job at Luz. She was invited to conferences, asked for interviews, and hailed as an advocate for accessibility through technology. In a beautiful twist, she received an unexpected note from Jake after one of the successful trials. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for being my voice." It struck her deeply, resonating with everything they had fought to achieve. They had transcended the roles they once thought defined them. This triumph was not merely professional, it was personal reclamation. Sarah had found her voice, proving to herself that belief intertwined with action could conquer any odds. She stood tall now, no longer entangled in the weight of societal judgment, but as a beacon of change, flourishing with the confidence of her own voice as she carved a space where innovation and empathy danced in harmony. As she looked out at the bustling streets of Maplewood from the conference window, a wave of fulfillment washed over her. She had arrived. Sarah was no longer a waitress lost in self-doubt. She had emerged as a leader, an innovator, and a champion. She had achieved the incredible, her own transformation intertwined with the flourishing brilliance of young Jake's invention. This was it, the moment of profound realization. No longer bound by the past, she stepped forward with an unwavering spirit, eager to embrace the future. The weight of her old life had lightened, replaced by the lightness of newfound purpose. Make this story your own. If you connected with Sarah's journey or know someone who needs to hear it, you need to subscribe now, because more stories of personal transformation are coming. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help it reach those who could resonate with this evolution. Comment below with your reactions and any theories about where their journey could go next. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need a dose of inspiration in their lives.